Yo, what's up? It's Marc from MTV. We're back with another episode of Menace Media Detroit. We're here with Tim Bates. Why don't you go ahead and give me a rundown?
All right, Marc, thanks for having me back. Things have changed a little bit since the last time I was on the show. I was talking about a lot of things back then, but I recently left Lenovo, and what I've taken is the last 6 months after retiring from Lenovo as a CTO is trying to understand the local community, understanding, where I can insert myself to provide value as far as changing the narrative. Yeah. And that narrative is over the last 6 months, I'm walking around in different places, looking at accelerators, looking at different startups and things like that, and trying to understand why am I not seeing more tech companies. When I say tech company, I'm not talking about an EV company that is a tech company, but I'm talking about the tech behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Everybody's not going to be a founder in this community, but there's a lot of, I won't call it labor work, but that labor work that can be transferred into technical labor work, if that makes any sense. But the thing is people don't understand. When they look at, say, I mentioned earlier, an artist on a stage like Beyonce, they think that artist gets on that stage, sings a song, and it's only one person. Yeah. There's thousands of people behind Beyonce, engineers, technicians that set up all the systems, whether it's software, hardware, music, video, whatever, that comes to play. Those are skills and careers that people can get into. Same thing when it comes to basketball, football, or any other sport around hospitals, General Motors. There's a whole division or departments that have IT people that are doing those jobs. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to bring to the table to the community is basically showcasing those types of technology jobs and use cases so that people can start understanding, I can go and learn this skill and then I can go get a job versus I can't be in that technical world because I don't have a 4-year degree or I haven't done this and I don't know math. And it's like, no, that's not really true. Mm-hmm. It's you can go get a 6-month certificate and be making $100K overnight. Yeah. But people don't realize that.
100%. And we kind of talked about this when it comes to the barrier of entry into tech or even just AI in general. And coming from the godfather of AI himself, it's like we think about it as like, why do they have these preconceived notions or these fears when it comes to tech?
I think it's the same thing if you go back. This is way before you guys, but because when you guys were in high school and middle school, you were able to bring calculators. When I was in high school, middle school, and grade school, they were forbidden. And don't ask me why, but it was one of those things like you shouldn't be using a calculator to do math. You should probably be able to do it in your head. And it's like, well, what happened between me being in high school, the 20 years or whatever years for you guys being in high school and middle school, and you can use a calculator? We figured out that we can't do all that in our heads. Some people can, but everybody can't. Mm-hmm. And that's why we invented a calculator. Same reason we invented the PowerPoint. Everybody uses PowerPoint in the business world to create great presentations. It's a tool. AI is the same thing, just another tool that allows us to think and move faster. Mm-hmm. It's like, as I program my AIs to help me, it's like, well, somebody asked me to present at a panel a couple of weeks ago. And usually they'd say, hey, can you get a bio? Yeah, I'd have that recreated or have it pre-created, but it would always be static because how long does it usually take you guys to do it one of your bios?
Yeah,
it's fun. Most people are like, hey, it's your bio. You should be able to spit it out in a second. But no, it's not like that. I got to think about the words. I got to think about the people that are going to be reading this and making sure that it's clear, concise, and that they understand it. So it takes you time to do that, which means it takes away cycles that you could be putting towards something more important. Mm-hmm. Not that it's not important, but something that this should be mundane. And so with AI, I just said, AI, you already have my background. You already have my papers that I've written. You have all this stuff and understand this. Create me 100-word, synopsis of background for me. 2 seconds later, I got that background, and I'm forwarding it over to the person that asked for it. It's like, wow, this is great, thank you. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm off. While AI did that, I'm sitting doing research on, basically, I'm writing, on how to teach people how to use AI, at a detail level, giving them that knowledge. I didn't have to take my time away from writing that paper or that book to do that because AI helped me, if that makes sense. Same thing in the business world. Most executives and most people spend without an administrative assistant, 60, maybe 50, 60% of their time writing communications. You know, over time, what do we create in corporations? Communications departments, because it takes it out of the executive's hand. But what we also found out is over time is the message gets lost between that person and that person. It doesn't get lost with AI. It's like if I say I want this, and this, AI takes those things and says, boom, I'm giving it right back to you exactly what you want. There's no human intervention of saying, well, you know, I think the president or the CEO really meant this versus this. And it's like, I don't want you to, you know, in most cases, you don't want nobody to think about what you're saying. You want them to just help you get your message out. You know, I remember at GM, Mary had sent out an edict about casual day. Okay. This is back when we all wore suits and everything else. And it came down to the point of she had made a statement, and her edict says, you wear what you want for that day's work event. So come as you want, you know. Just make sure you're representing the company appropriately. In my mind as a leader, it was like, okay, well, I don't care if you come to work with flip-flops, you know, shorts on, have fun. But if we're meeting with an external company, say NVIDIA or AMD or Dell is coming in to meet with me and my team is there, I'm like, we're all going to be dressed appropriately in business attire. Don't come to an external meeting with flip-flops on. And that's how I took the translation. And that was right. Some of my other peers, it was like, well, that means you come to work every day dressed up. And throughout the entire organization, staff was frustrated because it's like, well, one manager says this and one manager says that. And if Mary had used AI for that standpoint to write that communication out, it would have been completely clear. It wouldn't have been lost in translation to the communications department, who kind of twisted it and turned it to try to make it really easy for anybody to understand. And then all of a sudden, it's back to the old days, and it just made people frustrated. So, and
when people get frustrated, they distance themselves from the actual point that needs to get across. You know, AI, it can take those proponents, especially the points that you're trying to address, and make sure, especially, you can even say, I need these points to be addressed because it's hard to understand, or I'm trying to convey it to these type of people, or two different departments in a whole, and this is how they communicate.
Correct.
The more AI understands, is like it can give you exactly what you want.
Right. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's like most people don't understand. You have to train AI. It doesn't matter where you use it, whether you use it on OpenAI with GBT Chat, or you go to DALL-E, or you go to Midjourney, or any of these systems. You know, they're never going to be absolute unless you have it personalized, that you're able to put and inference your own data into it, or your own thought paths and ideologies and things like that. When you get to that point, now AI can actually really help you. When you go to these bigger systems like OpenAI, you know, you'll see influencers saying, hey, you know, I tried to type this in and it gave me a bad answer, or it didn't give me the answer I was looking for. Well, you didn't train it. You know, 100%. Nobody's going to train it for you. It's like I released that paper last year on the internet echo chamber, which is, you know, people don't understand when you're using the internet, it's all based on your usage. Okay, so my phone right now, if I picked this up and looked at my news, and I picked up your phone and looked at your news, two different worlds. Your world is not going to change unless you change it. My world won't change unless I change it. And how often do we change our worlds? Not very often, right? You
bring up a very interesting point. It's the way algorithms are set up. It's kind of like how AI, you have to train it, right? But when it comes to algorithms, you train it just with everyday use. I think that's where the AI is going to go, to a point when it becomes integrated in more of a practical sense of everyday lives. It's like people are going to be training it just by using it every day. Although ChatGPT, you know, it allows you to go into the settings and personalize it, which I've done, and I think that's a very underrated feature.
Oh, definitely. You know, it's an underrated feature, because what it does is, what OpenAI does is they read that information first. So it's kind of like, oh, I know you're a doctorate. I know you in this particular tech, so I can talk to you a certain way. And that's great. But the thing is, you know, with that, my problem with that is, you know, you're just giving away your information, if that makes sense.
I thought of it like that too, but the convenience factor was just like, it was
the convenience is there.
You know what I mean? I don't know how I would feel if OpenAI or just AI in general just started acting like an Instagram algorithm where you're starting to get targeted with ads? Like,
Oh, you will.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Well, that'll be the next
where's the
step.
data privacy issue though? With
Next
that?
week, OpenAI opens their store, for all the plugins and the GPT. Well, I don't know if they're going to do the plugins. I got an email about the GPTs.
Oh, yeah.
So, a couple of weeks ago or last month or whatever, they released GPTs that you can attach data and create your own little AI little bubble. Well, 2 days ago, they sent out a message to everybody that's obviously in the system that has created these things that they're going to open up the store next month or next week for people to be able to buy those or subscribe to those GPTs.
Really? Wait, they're monetizing on that?
Oh, heck yeah.
'Cause I got some free ones.
It's
I got
an
like
app
the
store.
Yeah, all the ones that you have free is not going to be free anymore.
Are you serious?
Well, think about it. So if you're on GPT today and you're using 3.5, you can't use any of those GPTs.
Yeah.
You have to be on 4.0, so you're already paying $20 a month.
Yep.
I believe what's going to happen next week is going to be the same thing.
Okay.
You can have 4.0, but if you want to use a GPT, if a person put it out there on the store for free, then you can have it. But if they put it out there and say it's a charge, then you'll be putting in a credit card.
That's crazy. You know what I've been using lately? Negotiator.
Oh, that's a good one. I created two. One
I use
for,
yours too.
The Thai or
The first one you sent me for like the CTO, the fractional CTO.
oh yeah, that's Thai.
Thai.
So I created that was based on my history of in immersive technology.
Okay.
So I kind of inferenced several of my white papers from 2009 up until now on the industry and where immersive technology is going, so that my clients can query that and get information, and then if it gets to a certain point where they need even more detail, then they'll call me up. So that could take some of the stress off my back, because when I started consulting, doing this fractional CTL stuff, and start talking about AI and start talking about immersive in the community, it's like I'm getting bombarded by thousands of the community saying, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that. It's like, I'm only one person, so I decided to inference a lot of data that way, and then I introduced it at one of the Black Tech Saturdays so that people could use it. And I've gotten a lot of feedback on it, but that's what you're going to see a lot of people do. I'm not going to go back and say OpenAI, I want to charge for that, because it's my way of basically giving knowledge out. And that's kind of one of my models that I wanted to stay with when I left Lenovo in June is, it's time that somebody out here needs to start sharing knowledge, and I don't see that happening. I see a lot of people, this is my knowledge, I'm going to make my money off of it. If you want to figure out how to do it, go to a 4-year school somewhere, which you're not going to learn that. And it's like, well, no. Let's start sharing the knowledge and getting it out there, you know? So
I like that ideology. It's like knowledge should be free in a way of
it
like.
should be. And I don't know if you saw the last one that I did. I did a New Year's Day. I actually posted the entire training, curriculum or syllabus with all the books and all the classes for AI.
What?
And these are the classes that are taught at MIT, Harvard, Stanford, all the top schools. The thing is, people don't realize that knowledge is free.
Yeah.
It's just that everywhere in their mind, they're like, well, I only can go to that school to get that knowledge. But what I learned a long time ago, especially with the internet, go to browse Harvard or browse MIT, and a good percentage of all their technical classes, programming classes, advanced classes are free. And for you to dial into, listen, the only thing that you can't get out of it is a degree. You don't get credit for it. And in today's society, I think the world is starting to understand credit is not the important thing. Mm-hmm. It's the output, what you get from learning it. And we want to see skills. We want to see people who actually take that information and turn it into something. Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do is try to get people to understand that, while you're sitting there saying that I can't afford to go somewhere, if you can afford internet access and have the tenacity to hit one of these schools up, the knowledge is there. Yeah. If it's not there, it's somewhere on YouTube or it's somewhere on some other medium that allows, you to, upskill yourself on your own. You just have to have the tenacity and take the time to do it. Or in most cases, somebody has to point you to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping I'm going to be that, become that beacon of light of here's how you understand AI, from soup to nuts. If you want to get a master's or PhD in AI, what I sent out on 2024 is all there.
I need that. I didn't even know you sent that out.
That was the one I just sent you today was another document that I wrote on a program called LM Studio. Mm-hmm. Like I said, most people think oh, I got to go to OpenAI to use AI, or I have to do one of these websites and pay money. You don't. You know, a lot of this stuff starts in open source. And open source doesn't mean free, it just means community, meaning that basically a lot of people around the world has worked on this stuff and says, hey, I got an idea. They connected with another professor or another person that knows how to code. And it's like, oh, we're going to work on this. And then they work on it, they build it, and then they put it up on what we call GitHub or one of these open source repositories, and they share it with everybody to say, push it forward. You know, what else can we do with it? And then with open source, that's your base. And people don't understand. You take that open source, you modify it, and that's a new company. That's a new application that you just created off the basis of a community system. Now, you do have to look at the open source licensing, which there's several different license models, but most of them will allow you to take that code and turn it into a business and turn it into an application. Not face value, but, you know, it's your starting point.